This is Rabbi Elton from the Great Synagogue in Sydney, and I'm standing in the sanctuary of the shul, where normally on Shabbat I would give a sermon. That won't be possible with the congregation this week, and so I want to share an idea from the Parashat, in fact a double Parashat, Vayakhel-Pekudei, which you would have read on Shabbat in shul. And I think the first words of the first Parashat, of Vayakhel, are just incredibly relevant to the situation we find ourselves in at the moment. It says, Vayakhel Moshe es kol hadas b'nei Yisrael. Moses assembled, Vayakhel, he made a kehilah, he made a congregation out of the children of Israel. Vayomer aleichem, he said to them, Eila hadvarim asher tzivah Hashem la'asos osam. These are the matters which God commands you for you to do them. Sheshesh yomim ta'aseh melacha. 6 days shall you labor. Vayom hashvi yeh lachem kodesh Shabboson Hashem. But the seventh day shall be a holy Sabbath to God. Kol oseh bo melacha yumas. Anyone who does work shall be put to death. So we have what looks like a very straightforward command and then a punishment for infringing that command. We're to observe Shabbat. Why do I think this is so relevant to our current situation of not mixing in public places, not coming to shul, not carrying on our regular services? Well, the first word, Vayakhel, make a congregation. We're told to make a congregation. Moses made a congregation. All our leaders have to make a congregation. And Moses did that in the desert, and we've been doing that in conventional ways all these years by assembling for prayer on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, by having classes and by having other events. And that's not possible for the time being. But Vayakhel, the imperative, the command, the instruction, the mission still applies. Vayakhel, it's still time to make a congregation. It's still essential that we turn ourselves from a group of individuals into a congregation and maintain ourselves as members of the congregation. And that's what we're doing through these videos, and we'll be doing through a variety of other means over the next period. So when we come back together in a physical way, we are an even stronger congregation than we were when we began. And then there's a second interesting point. These are the matters which God commands you to do. It's very clear that all of the measures and all of the requirements which governments around the world, including here in Australia, are making of us, God wants us to carry them out. We know that pikuach nefesh, that saving a life, even safek pikuach nefesh, even a question or a doubt about whether a life is at stake, requires us to put aside the entire Torah, with only the exceptions of murder, adultery, and idolatry, and to do whatever we need to do in order to save life. God is telling us at the beginning of this parasha, do what you need to do what you're advised to do by the experts in order to save lives, your lives and the lives of the community and society around you. I think God is speaking to us very powerfully through the parasha that we would have read on Shabbat and we're thinking about this week. And finally, very appropriately indeed, 6 days shall you work, 6 days go about your regular life, but on the seventh day do nothing. There's a time when God wants us to do, and there's a time when God wants us to step back from doing, to cease to do, to hold ourselves back. And it can be very hard to hold ourselves back. We want to go out, we want to see people, we want to socialize, we want to do all the things which are the marks of a regular, happy, functional life. But that's not the time now. The time now is to hold back and do what we need to do in terms of social distancing and maybe even self-isolation, self-quarantine, in order to perform God's will and in order to save the health and the lives of the people we live amongst and the people we love as well. So that's the message from the parasha. We all pray that these days will pass quickly and with as little damage to the fabric of our community and our society as possible, that all those who are currently unwell will be healed, that as few who are as yet well will become unwell, that we'll all be preserved in good health, those who still have it, and that especially I think that these days of social isolation shouldn't be days of spiritual isolation or a lack of spiritual inspiration. And that's why, as I say, we'll be sharing a lot of material with you on the internet in different forms, and also sending emails to our members to make sure that our morale stays high and our connection stays strong, even in these difficult times. So I wish you a Shabbat Shalom, a peaceful Shabbat, a spiritual Shabbat, a Shabbat with those who you love and who love you, a Shabbat of joy, even in these difficult times, because that's certainly what God wants from us as well. He wants us to have a beautiful, peaceful, and joyous Shabbat. Please God, ahead of a week of healing and improvement in the situation across the whole world. God bless and Shabbat Shalom.